Come on, enjoy the flavor. Come on, enjoy the flavor. Come on, enjoy the flavor. It's country cooking with the city girl twist. When you're cooking with Lady T, she's gonna show you all these wonderful things. So come on, enjoy. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Tanya, and you're cooking with Lady T, where I love country cooking with a city girl twist. Well, today I'm going to do two classics, or those which I deem to be classic, and that's squash and onions and tomatoes and rice. And again, those are two classic southern side dishes that you could fix with any meal, with any meat. So if you want to see this turned into this, stay tuned. Okay, y'all, let's get started. What you're going to need for the recipe, you're going to need an onion, a squash, okay, and that's what squash looks like. And for your stewed tomatoes that I'm going to make the onion and, the rice and tomatoes, I got a Roma tomato. And these are like very popular with the Hispanic dishes. But these are a firm tomato, and that way they'll keep its form and don't break all the way down. So I like these, but you can use any tomato of your choice. Okay? And of course your rice. And let's get started. Very simple. To get started, we're just going to go ahead on and get our rice going. The rice I'm using is jasmine rice by Mahutna. I love this rice. Okay, to start your rice, of course, just follow your instructions. Or for every cup of rice, you have 2 cups of water. Okay? So we're going to pour the water in there. And while we're waiting on the water to boil, I'm going to put in half of this butter, a half a stick of butter. Okay, we're going to put in a half a stick of butter. And we're also going to do a dash of salt. And this is going to probably equal out to a half a teaspoon of salt. Again, I've been cooking a while, so I'm eyeballing it. Okay, and that's it. And we got our rice going. Okay, now let's go ahead and start on the stewed tomatoes. And you can get cans of stewed tomatoes. That's up to you. But I'm going to make mine fresh. Okay. So when you get your tomato, all you're going to do is you're going to cut this end off. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to cut it down the middle. Y'all can see that. Cutting it down the middle. Okay. Giving you 2 parts, and then you're just going to slice it so you have your own chunks. Okay. And your chunks should look something to that size. Okay, and so I'm going to cut up the rest of these tomatoes the same way. On the bigger ones, I'm going to cut them in quarters. Okay, and here's my pot right here. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in just a little bit of water in the bottom. Okay, we're just going to pour a little bit in there. Okay, and as I'm cutting them, again, they're in the chunks. And I'm going to go ahead on and put them in the pan. And so I'm probably going to do this for measuring sake, it's probably about 3 cups total. Alright, our water is boiling for the rice, so let's get the rice poured in there. All of the tomatoes are cut up. Okay, I've got those in there, and that's about, I cut up about 8 Roma tomatoes, so that is about a good 3 to 4 cupfuls. And like I said, I put a little water, and the only other thing we're going to add to this, we're going to add a little bit of onion And for seasoning, we're just going to do salt and pepper. And we're talking about, again, a tablespoon of salt. Get that closer so y'all can see. And about a half a tablespoon of black pepper. Again, you season that to taste. I'm going to put like a fourth this amount of butter. So just a dollop of butter. And I'm also going to sprinkle in a little garlic powder. Again, this is about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay? And we're just going to stir these up and let them come to a high boil. Because you want the tomatoes to be broken down so they can soften. Okay? Okay, so we're going to cover these tomatoes up and let them do their thing. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the onions, and I'm going to put a little bit of onions in there. I'm just going to cut that onion in half. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it up because I'm going to use this entire onion for the squash as well. And I'm just cutting them in half moon sizes. And these don't have to be they don't have to be pretty and precise. You just cut them up because they're going to reduce down, okay? And just for measuring sake, we're probably talking about a good cup full of onions. Or I should say about a half a cup of onions. Just put in there. And as you can see, it's boiling. It's doing its thing over there already. Okay. Okay, now we're going to get started with cutting up the squash. It's really easy. What we're going to do first is go ahead on and cut our pan on to probably 6. And we're going to take a little bit of oil, vegetable oil, your oil of choice. I'm going to do just a cap full of it and pour it in the pan. Well, let's make that 2 caps. And one thing I like to do, I'm going to go ahead on and put 1 slice of bacon in the pan before I start. I just like to do that to give it a little bit of extra flavor. Everything tastes better with bacon. Again, Southern cooking, y'all. Now, when you get your squash, you clean it really good, okay? And one thing about being, living in the country and having country friends that work with me, their husbands and stuff, they do a lot of farming, so I get fresh vegetables readily available. I love it. People bring in tomatoes, they bring in squash, cucumbers. I don't never have to go to the grocery store for them type items. Anyway, y'all, I'm just kidding around, but with my southern accent. But you just take your squash and you're going to cut the ends off. See that? Just cut that end off. And there's no special way to cut up squash. You just cut it up. This is the way I do it. And the end looks like that. Beautiful, beautiful color. And you just cut them in medallion size pieces to your liking, to your thickness. For me, that's about the thickness I'm going to do it. Probably a 1/4 of an inch thick. And just keep going. Keep cutting. Turn so y'all can see that. Now this is a very large squash, so I can cut it in half, just, you know, to reduce the size in the pan. Just keep cutting, cutting, cutting. Now when it gets further up to the neck, some people use that. When it gets around that part of the neck, I call that the banana part of the neck. I don't use that part. I discard it. I find, to me, it tastes a little bitter. So anyway, what I'm going to do, because this was a large squash, and that's why I only have one of them. And again, this was a grab and go. Again, people at work brought them to work. And what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to cut them in half, okay? Just going to stack them up and just cut them right down the middle. Now these pieces are fine, so I'm going to go ahead on and put them in the pan. These pieces right here. Take my knife and just run it right down the middle. So now we have half pieces. That's it. Let's cut the rice down. Cut these in half. Now these will reduce down in size. I know the pan may seem crowded, but they're going to reduce down in size. And I'm going to go ahead on and season them the same way. I'm going to put some pepper. Again, you're going to just make sure you get a good coating of pepper on them. And then salt. Now you're going to put about a tablespoon of salt in here. Okay? And then a little garlic powder. Again, you're doing a dusting. Now at this point, I'm just going to let them cook and cover them up immediately so they can cook. And then you're going to add your onions. Let's see what our tomatoes are doing. Oh, aren't those beautiful? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Stir our tomatoes. Now, they've been on a high boil for about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is just turn them down to medium low, to like a 4. Because at this point, I did it for a high boil to release those juices. So they'll have their own, they're bathing in their own juices. And so we're just going to let them bad boys simmer somewhat. And just cook them on low for a while. Cook them on low for about another 15-20 minutes. Okay, here's the slice of bacon I'm going to put in there. I'm going to cut that out in about 3 pieces. We're going to put them in there. Then we're going to go ahead on and add in our onions. Okay, now we're going to turn these down to about medium heat. And cover these bad boys. And again, you're going to continue to cook these for about another 20 minutes on medium low until they're nice and tender. And you're done. And so, stay tuned for the plate up. Okay, y'all, here's the final look. Isn't that beautiful? Now, you know when your squash is done, when it has that translucent look, and it still has that beautiful, vibrant color. Here are our tomatoes back here, and here's the rice. So let's do it. Alright, y'all. It's time for me to taste it. I'm going to get a little bit of these onions and tomatoes, rice. Oh, it's so good. The flavor, the flavor, the flavor. Yeah, I'm gonna get some of this squash. Hope y'all can see that. And onion. Shut your mouth. Woo! I'm telling you, that bacon, that one strip of bacon does it. Let me get my dance on. Yes, y'all, that's some good eating now. Again, this is 2 classic Southern side dishes that you can cook with any meal. Your rice and your tomatoes and onions, and then your squash and onions with 1 strip of bacon. I mean, you don't get no better than that. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy my recipe. Where every bite, God blesses you. And with that, y'all, I'll see you on the next video. Yeah.
Come on, enjoy the flavor. Come on, enjoy the flavor. Come on, enjoy the flavor. It's country cooking with the city girl twist.